Frank, I loved the start or the tweet you had to go with your column. Listen, most
people didn't, just FYI.
Yeah, I know. I was sitting there yesterday. I said the choice is justifiable and it makes sense. I wouldn't have had the stones to do it, but Chris Knobloch did.
Well, not shocking coming from you.
Thank you.
But I would say most people, it's easy to say now, hey, that's it. Exactly. Right there. Like, is there a better, when did Bag Milk tweet that? This morning after my thing?
He quote tweeted your column with it.
Chef's kiss.
Magnifique.
That can't be beat. I mean, that's it though. You can say whatever you want. This is not just anyone that they threw into the net. This isn't I know that he's been here since November, but we're talking about a 32-year-old journeyman who's never played in the Stanley Cup playoffs as a starter. He's been so insignificant both at the NHL level and the AHL level that when it came time for the playoffs in the AHL, teams would play their younger pedigreed goalie over Cal Pickard. So he's gone the last 14 years with 5 playoff games total at the pro level. And he hasn't played since April 18th. I'm not counting those 3 saves that he made at the end of game 3. The Canucks barely had the puck.
I think 2 of those shots came from past the red line.
From Red Deer.
Yeah.
We are counting them in that.
Yeah, we're counting them in his stats for the playoffs, but point stands.
Here's the point. You are betting another magical spring from Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, that magic on Cal Pickard. I said it. Balls the size of Athabasca Oil Sands dump truck. Like that's a career bet right there. And it's not just on Cal Pickard showing up. It's also on your defense defending the way that they did, because he realized, and the Oilers' own internal numbers, they saw that the Oilers have given up the fewest scoring chances against and the fewest high danger chances against of any team still standing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So he was saying Pickard just needs to be okay. If we just got some modicum of goaltending, then we'll be fine. And isn't that exactly what last night was?
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
And so then let's walk through it from this perspective. So the Oilers finally get some stops. Okay. Yeah. You're able to get a lead for the first time since game 1. When you get a lead for the first time since game 1, you can play McDavid and Draisaitl less. They played 6.5 fewer minutes than games 2 and 3.
Yeah.
You can experiment with some D pairs.
Yep.
Darnell and Desharnais. That ended up looking pretty good. You don't feel like you're stressing the rest of your team out. There's some equilibrium that everything kind of falls back into for the Oilers. And that is the magic of actually getting decent goaltending.
Last night just seemed like, excuse me, like just a great team win. Like you said, everyone was able to contribute. And you look at the last goal the others scored. Like, yes, it was Draisaitl to Bouchard, but it was Evander Kane who came in heavy on Hronek to turn over the puck there. And I just thought that was cool to see as well. It's just everyone contributing. It really was a strong team effort. But I guess the ultimate question is Pickard your game 5 start.
We'll hold up, Liam. That's the Sherwood Ford Giant question of the day.
Well, is Frank going to be here?
If you could scroll up in the chat, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Patrick Casper, who put this in there. He said, this team plays way more confident in front of picks.
Yeah.
I think that's fact. Watch last night's game. They looked more controlled. They looked more calm. And I think the reason for that is they don't feel like they have to be perfect, because you had to be perfect in front of Skinner because he was so bad.
Yeah. All right. Sherwood Ford Giant question for our friends out at Sherwood Ford the Giant and their fantastic service department. Frank and I were just out there because they hooked our boy, Mr. Seravalli, up with a nice Ford Mustang to get him through his travels here in Edmonton. A big shout out to Sherwood Ford the Giant. Frank, your game 5 starter. It's got to be Pickard, right? It's the Giant question, but I think it doesn't. I think it has a pretty straightforward answer.
I don't even think that's the interesting question.
The interesting question is probably, when does Skinner get back in?
Because that, I think, is the rub of all this for the Oilers. And it really sucks that you have to even kind of think this far down the line, but that's how it works in the playoffs, is with all due respect to how well Pickard played last night, everyone knows that his ceiling is not nearly as high as Skinner. And when it comes to trying to topple the Stars or the Avs next round, you're going to need to go back to Skinner, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think you can win a series with Pickard. However, and this is the point I made in my column today, you can't win a Stanley Cup in round 2, but you can definitely lose one.
Yeah.
And if you don't get there, it doesn't really matter. So I think game 5 is without question, it's Pickard. I think even if they lose game 5, I would depend my answer for game 6 solely on how he plays.
Yeah. If you lose 2-1, you can go back.
To Pickard. But if not, you can always go back to Skinner, which is why some people are saying, oh, this was the obvious play. Of course, they're going to go with Pickard. Jay Woodcroft didn't go with Jack Campbell last year. Every single time went back to him. And I'm not slagging Jay Woodcroft. I'm just saying that's what 96% of the coaches in this league would have done. Go with the safe pick. Go with the guy who is going to be the future starter of the Oilers. And instead, I think they looked at it and said, I don't really like his body language. I don't think they liked his look after certain goals and then also getting the hook. And it was like, this guy's distraught. So there's what your gut's telling you. And then there's also what your head's telling you in terms of the data and how well you've defended.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.